Welcome to the Tribute Lounge. I'm Shane Johnsen, and today I'm with Torstein Horgmo. I'm so excited about this one, man. This is going to be great. We've got a secret weapon on the desk here, and his favorite binding from Union. Let's go. All right, Tor, seriously, thanks again, man. This is exciting for us. I had one shop owner reach out to me and just be like, oh my God, really? He was very excited. Joel from The Truth, here we go.
I'm stoked to be here.
But I always say, man, you're like the Obi-Wan of snowboarding. I really have, that's always been my thing. Anytime I've watched you from like Black Winter to, to now. Like back in the day, seeing you in the streets, we'd pigeonhole you a little bit. We were like, oh yeah, he's that guy. And then Cheese Wedge, backcountry, just poof, first guy to do a triple cork. Like, come on. So probably the most well-rounded, but your calm demeanor, the way you approach the mountains, I really identify with that, man. I love it. I love watching you ride. I love your style. You've got a tuck knee when you go to heel side. That's just, I love that stuff. So yeah, we wanted to give you the Obi-Wan Kenobi props because we definitely like that. Huge. But from like Black Winter to Bongo, which that blew my mind. That was such a fun, killer edit, and that's what I've been digging lately. These mini edits, your YouTube channel, things you've done forever. But let's start with letting everybody know why you're in Nelson right now, because you're doing some filming right now.
Yep, we got a project up at BALDFACE Valhalla. Me, Mons, Royceland, Mikey Cicerelli, Brandon Cocard, and Brendan Davis actually will be joining us too. Kind of the crew, we had a trip earlier in the season to Japan where we kind of kicked it off. We're trying to film like, I don't know, I don't want to say like a bigger project, but we want to like do more of a proper one where the last couple of years have been more like for Bongo and like for Flat Pink, which was amazing. The first opportunity I had to work with Cocard. It's been kind of like sort of on the fly, more homie cam style, film when we can.
We'll put links to both those below if you haven't seen them. They're both incredible.
And then just this year, like over the course of the summer, I was talking to my wife actually, who just started talking about videos and how cool it would be to do another like bigger Shredbots project, since I think the last big one we did was called Light. We dropped in 2020.
Yep.
Where we actually, that was our first go at it up at BALDFACE with this kind of project, and we started talking about that over the summer. It'd be cool to do like a round two, because that was very much so a proof of concept project. Bring in our friend Charles Beckinsale out of the park building scene and bringing him into the backcountry with me to build some big kickers, and that's kind of like that's the concept of it, but we wanted to take it to the next level, so that's why we're here now. We're doing it at Valhalla, which is way cooler for us because we have, up at the lodge sometimes they're really busy up there.
Yeah.
They have they're booked out, whatever, 10 years in a row.
Yeah, this way you're in and out, you can get back to home base, replan things, and...
Yeah, we love working with the people and the guides too over at Valhalla, because they can fit us in whenever we come, and which allows us to film when the weather's good and we don't have to like plan too far out ahead. And
yeah, shout out to Tyler at Valhalla BALDFACE. Tyler is legend. Yeah.
But in a nutshell, I want to just preface a little bit on Beckinsale, because he's arguably the best park builder on the planet right now. He's sort of run this progression of the freestyle jumps from huge step downs into step over territory, and what now all the riders competing are just used to hitting these like very big and very low impact at the same time jumps.
Yeah, yeah.
Just his building style, riding style. We used to be on the DC team together back in the day. Like, I've known him forever. We are bringing him into the backcountry. We're bringing like a winch cat into the backcountry.
So rad,
and
man.
we're building kickers and landings too, where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And just kind of creating this dream park, which for me is like, I've been dreaming about this for a long time, and being able to like put it into reality and make it happen, and then just like bring in the Sickest Crew riders, and we just all have a party out there. And
dude, that is a
Valhalla.
heavyweight list of riders too. I mean, I'm big
Amusement
fans.
park.
Yeah, big fans of all those guys too. So that I'm looking forward to seeing that, and that'll be a full length. That's not going to be like a mini 20-minute. That'll be
it'll be full length.
cool. And I've always admired that you make your YouTube channel as well. You guys make sure you subscribe to. You must subscribe to his channel as well. But you're doing your own music for that, like we do. So I mean, props to that, man. I know how much work that takes. And it's a passion project every time, but then you get to control everything. You get to put out exactly what you want, and it's admirable. It's your own thing, and it's I really dig the channel for that, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's, and your wife blows my mind at how well of a rider she is, but just diverse, kind of like you. So you two probably spend a ton of time, even the one episode where you're hitting, I can't remember what that thing's called, but it's pouring rain, and you guys are hitting the mega blow up jump thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what was that episode's great though. I was laughing my ass off. But what is that thing called again?
Just the banger park.
The banger park. There we go.
The airbag. Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. But what I'm trying to say is Torstein it's really authentic, deep dives into snowboarding. That is the stuff I love. It's really great, man, and the fact that you were doing the music too, me being a musician, I just
It just adds another layer.
Yeah.
You know how it is. Like, the music hits a different spot, I think, sometimes than writing does. It scratches a different itch, but it's sort of similar at the same time too.
Yeah, totally. And we could go way down the road of that, but we're here to talk product, of course. We're going to talk product. Now, you just went up against Sparky at Natural Selection. We know the result of that. You moved ahead, and sick run, and you were so smart to go first, I think. I mean, there was bomb holes. It was starting to get eaten up a little bit, and man, you had two really nice lines in that zone.
Yeah, I ate a bunch of shit too. That was some crazy.
Everybody kind of did.
I think after the first run and like that first avalanche that got kicked off, like kind of swept through that whole lane. It got a little tricky, which in the morning too, like there was a whole nother section of venue for us to ride that got canceled out because of I think it was a Class 2 avalanche that went down that
yeah, that's
drainage.
heavy enough. Oh yeah.
And a lot of the riders had planned to do their runs on that side, and it just kind of got taken out. So there was a lot of boarders trying to go down the same run all of a sudden.
No, you could tell, but
it's still fun.
Yeah, it
really
looked like a blast for sure.
And I got to go first, so like,
I thought that was rad. I like that you were just like, yeah, I'll take it right away. Let's go.
I'm on vacation.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, speaking of that, we have the board that Tor got to ride, and this is unique. This is the only one of its kind.
Yep.
You are in proto development right now with Capita.
I'm in proto mode.
Yeah, and designing, and that's what I want to talk about today, because we were upstairs a couple weeks ago hanging out, and the two of us got into a heavy discussion on just the geometry of how a nose enters the snowboard and what that does to, how it's affecting the side cut radii and how it's affecting your first, whichever toe side, heel side turn, whatever it is, the stability there, all of this plays into it. It doesn't just, I always like a really long straight side cut at the front because it grabs, but your nose geometry is so important. And we really got into that, and that's kind of where I want to start talking about this board. We'll kind of go front to back and then get into the guts of it. But are you is everything your brainchild? You're shaping this nose, you're shaping that geometry, you're working with Blue and the crew on that?
Yeah, it's a huge learning experience for me because I've never been able to go this deep and to go sort of from scratch on something. I mean, we're never starting from scratch. It's always based off of something because we're not inventing the snowboard here. We're just making a new one.
So which board were you riding prior to this in the Capita lineup?
So I'd like to say this is the starting point for this was a mix between when I used to ride for DC, I was on a board called Space Echo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that board.
And the Super DOA from Capita, and a little bit of Arthur flavor from his Aeronaut.
Yep.
Where I just started playing. That's more where the taper comes from, I'd say.
How much taper are we in this board?
Very minimal. It's a 4 millimeter taper.
Cool.
Because I like to ride switch still, and I needed to function that way, so I didn't want to have too much. But talking about the entries here, like these curves here, and when this 45-degree angle starts, that's something I've been playing with too, because I like to be, I enjoy riding the mountain sort of perpendicular too. I tend to choose a lot of lines that go across.
Yep.
And connecting features that, aren't just fall line all the time. So I need to have the board feel a certain way when I'm on edge, and sort of like a snowmobiler would call it side hilling,
Yep.
And also, like, you see the steepness of this kick right now is something I'm working on too. This is a work in progress. This is gonna come down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because at the moment it's not cutting enough for me, which is something I didn't even know I preferred until I started working with this. As far as the width right now, we're at a 256 millimeter waist.
And what's your foot size?
I'm a size 9.
Size 9, so
Yeah.
average foot size, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good platform. And now with your insert pattern, have you set this board back?
Yeah, it's got about a 2.5 inch setback, I think.
Okay.
Maybe 2 inch. I don't remember specifically.
And we get asked quite often when they decide, and Arthur and I went through this too, when they decide a reference, are you deciding that reference, or is that based off how you ride this board, or is that reference based off dead center in the insert pack?
That was referenced off of me riding a twin forever.
Cool.
And riding and trying to turn the Super DOA into a backcountry board.
Which you kind of did. I mean, you rode it at the first Jackson, didn't you?
In Alaska.
Yeah, oh, that's right, yeah.
Like all the way through that season where I was on.
So when you were against Trav at Alaska, you were on a Super DOA. That was so hard to watch because you guys lost the light. And it literally was like whoever went first was going to win because that was the only window of light.
Yeah. So
that killed me, man.
I mean, that was the semifinals in my eyes. That was the event.
Exactly.
That's what I remember. That's when I got the runs of my life, and it was just the best time ever.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But so it's working with that and working with the inserts being set up as twin, and then what I did end up I got them to like at least the next round of Super DOAs they sent me the inserts 2 inches setback.
Cool.
So I didn't have to force it so much, twisting the discs and like all that stuff. Because this was the binding I was riding at the time too, the Atlas.
Yep.
And so that was our starting point. Like I think it was 2 inches to where the inserts were supposed to be set up on this board. We just started there,
Cool.
which might still move because I'm fine tuning it a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't, at the same time, I can't say, I don't have any sort of estimate on when this board will be ready because I know it's not ready right now. It's getting close.
Yep.
It's getting real close, which I'm excited about that even from the first round of protos to where we're at now with round 3, just in one season, which that is a lot. That's a huge ask of the factory in like peak season production for them to be able to. So I mean, just the way they've been able to provide this for me in a time of like peak season for them is incredible.
Cool, cool. Now with your setback stance, what are your angles? Or do you vary depending on conditions?
I'm on a 0 right now on the back foot.
Yeah, cool.
And I've been 0, +3, -3, kind of, but more just this whole season's been 0.
Right on, man.
And
Yeah.
+15 on the front.
Cool.
But that's gone from 15 to 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no bigger than that. I might be...
That's cool. That's where you definitely, like your toe side, I watch, you've got that good, like there's a little bit of that Craig Kelly tuck knee that happens on your toe side. And that is facilitated when you're not super duck, right?
Yeah.
It helps you drop in and helps you drive some power into that front edge, which is cool for style too.
Well, my riding's evolving too, you know, from being slopestyle heavy all the time and riding street and that kind of stuff where it was -6, -9.
Yeah, yeah.
And my knee would just be like rock solid over the toe, like at all times. It's all power. Right now, it's like I get really inspired by the ocean and the surfing and that kind of stuff. So having more just free flowing turns, I think, just more open turns, like being able to, like when your back foot's set back 9, or even 12, 15, whatever, like you're kind of locking up your body's ability to move freely through turns.
Absolutely.
It's just, it doesn't, there's no way around it.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me to open that up, and that was actually my first experience. This happened the season I went out to Alaska, to Valdez with John Jackson for the first time. And I spent 6 days in a helicopter with him, and it was like the biggest learning experience of my life, snowboarding, and like...
Yeah, what a rad human to spend time with. Yeah.
And my whole ego at that point was just like, yeah, I can ride switch just as easy as regular, and like I can, it doesn't matter in the park, you know, in the mountain, like which direction I ride anymore, trick-wise or whatever. It doesn't feel like that anymore. Truly, in my head, that's what it was. And I show up to Alaska and I'm like, oh shit, I'm regular. There is no doubt in my mind.
Because now the consequences are massive.
Yeah, and I was looking at his board, and I'm like, what are you, positive on the back foot? Like, what are you, crazy? And I stand on top of the mountain, and I'm like, I watch him go down, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of us have been moving. Like I am a lot on my front foot, even 30 sometimes, but you know, positive 6 or something in the back. But you're right, it's when you set yourself back, know that that's the nose. Legitimately, that's the nose. And you start getting into that stance angle. And for anybody at home, like, mess around with that stuff. You've got Tor here continually messing with his stance because there is no right stance. You're always tweaking these things. Yeah. And it's conditions. That's why I asked, you know, do your conditions determine it? And they definitely do. You go to AK, you're going to ride a bigger board.
Yeah.
Like, what size DOA did you ride last time you were there?
160.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what size board were you at NST?
This one,
guy.
58.
58.
And 160 for, I rode a 160 for the first run.
Yep.
And that was like my first, honestly, my first real test on that proto.
Oh, that's cool.
And
that's ballsy, but that's cool.
And then I switched for the second run because I was like, it's too much board.
Yeah.
It was just my first time setting foot on the course too, so the snow was just denser than I expected. I thought it was going to be Japan, like endless in your face.
Yeah,
so.
well, it warmed here. We were getting weird. Yeah. And it still is a little warm here, unfortunately. I keep forgetting to tell everybody, too, I'm sitting on the stool today because I broke my damn foot. So I'm not trying to be lazy or anything like that. But I wasn't going to miss this interview, so I hobbled my ass down here to make sure we could do this. Well, let's get back to the board because you handed it to me upstairs. I'm in crutches. I grab it with one hand, and it's like nothing. So I've got a Megadeth here. You're definitely going in the direction of whatever the core materials are, which you can get into if you're allowed to, but this board is feather light as well. So was that a key? Are you really keying into the weight of this as well?
Yeah, I like it to be light, and with that goes, I mean, that's not just the board, that's the binding too, which I wish we could talk about today, but that's
That's next season.
I got a strict
season.
Strict no on that.
We'll talk about bindings.
I would love to, but that's for later. I don't know what the core is in this. I just know that Tommaso and the people at the factory, they know what I've been riding, they know what I like, and they're messing with it.
Cool.
And we're talking more in like, we're not talking about like types of wood, or we're talking about thicknesses of the wood in the middle and versus the tips and tails.
Core
like,
profiling is key, man. That's that's a really good point.
and we're messing with that quite a bit. And I'm just excited because I'm learning so much, and even like through this conversation too, I'm gonna switch my back foot to negative the next time I snowboard, because I want to just feel the board with how I used to ride it too.
Yeah.
Maybe even if it's just for a day, I just want to see what that's like.
Do you find that do you ever flex your board?
I do.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and that's where core profiling becomes, that's why I start looking for that when I'm looking at buying a snowboard too, is you'll see if someone's milled out the waist a little bit so you can get that maneuverability, and especially on takeoff, I'm sure you're flicking your board to spin or... Yeah.
And this board has come out way stiffer than expected in the beginning, which I think is great for being able to make a snowboard stiff, or really, let's call it really responsive. And at the same time, lightweight is not easy to do.
No, man. Because it's usually taking more material to make them stiff, therefore that's just more weight no matter what.
So I feel really lucky there as far as the starting point, and then we can go just softer and it'll become more playful, and like we're starting to like give it more life and just character, and the tip shapes are changing a little bit for like even shout out to Tommaso at the factory too, just him asking me straight up like, just think about like what you want your nose to look like, because it's like you looking down on your own snowboard and like, what do you want that to look like, the silhouette. So that's something that got my mind kind of going on that, and like really getting into the shape of it, while also functionality for me is at the forefront. But there's some ways where the art of that and the symmetry actually plays a role, where you're not doing something just for because you want it to look nice, but when it rides well, I think it just kind of comes with the territory too.
Form and function, absolutely.
It needs to flow.
Yeah. Very cool, man. No, I'm excited. I can't wait to, like, A, I can't wait to be able to sell this in the shop, and B, just be able to ride it, man. Just knowing your riding style and the chats we've had around this, I'm excited. And I'm similar to you. I'd normally ride a 58, and that waist size is perfect. It'll come in wides and everything, I'm sure, too. There'll be the full gambit of sizes.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to compromise the next model of this, actually, I might take it down to a 56, because I want to experiment with that as well.
Same width, or would you tailor that a little bit?
I think I'm going to stick to a 256 width for now, because it's actually a step up from what I was used to.
Oh, wow.
I used to ride narrower, but I've come to appreciate the way that feels. I think mainly just because just based on drag, grooming, and carving.
You're a 9, so you're not necessarily going to boot out, but if you're at 0, there's potential if you really get over on it, right?
There is, and so like this width, and I've experimented going up and down just 2 millimeters, but it's purely based on carving, on groomers, because it's something I'm really enjoying, and like me and my wife go and do it all the time, and she's actually better at it than I am.
We were watching that holiday episode, like I was telling you, and I was super impressed with her riding. Yeah, it was awesome. And that when you're at Copper, it looked like a pretty good day out that day too. They had some nice park jumps in for sure. Just looking it's got a fair bit of side cut too. It's no joke. That's a powerful side cut too with this. So this will carve really, really well.
It flows. But I think it's a good indicator. Like when you really get on rail with a board like this or any board, you can sort of like you can iron out any weaknesses will come to the surface if you really get into carving. I will have a really good idea of how this board is going to perform in powder. Strangely.
Yep. No, that makes perfect sense to me. And that especially if you're milling the core the way you are, you're going to be able to torque this thing better and understand how it reacts on corduroy.
Yeah.
Powder's doing it's just a different beast, but that makes sense. Let's talk bindings for a second too, because with those, are you running forward lean? Do you run much forward lean?
Yeah.
Do you offset the
two notches?
2 notches, both?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. And that doesn't matter if you're duck or if you're in your more carving stance?
No, I've been just on 2 notches.
2 notches.
Yeah.
Set it, forget it.
Yeah, I've been experimenting in the past with more, but.
And that's an Atlas from last season, but Tor was telling me he still uses that strap, so that's why we brought that one down.
Yeah, I mean, I run through different straps all the time, testing new, like they're always trying to fine tune these things. So, but I really like this strap, and I think, yeah, when it comes to straps, it's kind of like simpler.
Really responsive, simple, super lightweight too with that one, which I liked about it a lot. Yeah.
You don't need like many bells and whistles for straps. It's kind of like that one's been working for me, and they've been kind enough to like keep a couple of them like aside for me, even though they're evolving and progressing. You know, for me, some things I like to stay the same, even though like I do try new things all the time as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's also just talk, let's touch on boots too. What boots are you riding?
I've been riding the Verse by Vans for the last couple of seasons. I've been really happy with those. The Blake Paul model.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys that still seek that one out actually. That was a good design for sure.
Yeah. And that was after riding for DC for a long time and just being for a really long time and just being so used to their boots, and that was I think the closest I got to just what I was used to after trying a lot of different brands boots to experiment, and but that's just where I'm at now. It works for me. And I've even taken a razor blade and cut off a lot of the material underneath. You know, those Vibram outsoles sometimes come with a lot of extra like boot grip, sort of like hiking.
And it's hard to flex, right?
Well, I just like to be closer,
lower. Yeah.
So if I can shave off a couple millimeters there, like it counts. And that's
interesting. Yeah.
That's something we're experimenting with on the binding side too, but that's for another meeting.
Yep. Sounds good. We'll have you back next year. Like I said, definitely have you back next year. With the amount you guys are always filming out here too, that's hopefully we can make this a yearly thing. That would I'd really appreciate
I would love
it. Yeah, for sure. So we our channel's sponsored by Cole. Thank you guys so much. You're also a Cole rider. And moving on from that though is the outerwear you use. I love the looks of it. Those guys, how do you say it properly?
Norrona.
Very cool. I'm not even going to attempt
Norrona.
that. I have some Norwegian in me, but
as a North American would say, it's you would say Norrona.
Norrona.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
But just, dude, great gear. Like really, the quality, that down jacket you were wearing earlier, I was impressed with that stuff.
It's nice to be dry and warm.
Yeah.
Appreciating that.
Yep. And it looks like quality, so you're not, rolling over 8 jackets a season. Most of the times I've seen you out, you're wearing pretty much the same kit.
Yeah.
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 And that's a testament to good gear. It really is.
I'm on the 2nd or 3rd season of my same pants now.
Yeah.
Which
that's unheard of, dude.
It didn't used to be like that. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying new styles, new fits, and I get all the gear I want, but it's hit a point where like I don't need it.
Yeah.
I rather just use what I have for longer, and because it used to be like I was addicted to getting boxes sent to my house and just wanting all the new styles all the time and just going through that whole trip. And then it's been nice to sort of like understand. Norrona is a really environment, eco-focused company. And they've always been doing that. They're from the family-owned from 1929.
Yeah, it's that far back. Wow.
Third or fourth generation
Yeah,
right now. So it's direct input.
that's so cool.
They really care about prototyping, feedback, repairs, all this stuff. Like they kind of stand by that. If you buy something, you don't need to get another one next year.
Yeah.
So for me to like experience that too, and like I really like these pants. I'm gonna wear them. I'm gonna keep wearing them. Like,
For 2 years.
I don't need another pair of pants. Like this is freaking the best
that's awesome.
Gore-Tex ever.
That's awesome.
So it works cool like that, and sort of promoting that. I think that's the easiest way to sustainability too, is like just not overusing so much.
Yeah.
Just reducing a little bit to start.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah.
And then also, as we can see on the board, you ride Oakleys.
Mm-hmm.
Which model are you riding?
Oh, right now, I've been switching around a lot. I actually don't know the name of the new model I've been rocking because it's a new model this year.
Yeah, because there's a Line Miner Pro coming out.
But I have been riding the
Line Miners. I've seen you in, yeah.
Been enjoying those. I was on the flight deck for a long time, those big like no-frame ones.
Yeah.
And then ran through some Line Miners, and then on this new model now, which, gosh, I can't remember the name of it.
Well,
That's gonna kill me.
we'll add it. Don't worry, we'll add
But
it.
it's sample.
And what's your favorite lens for sort of all-around conditions? People are always asking us questions like that. I usually, like the high pink is rad, but if it gets super sunny, it's almost too much. I've kind of been going that Prism Emerald a bit. Has been a good one. What do you use? What do you use?
Any of the prisms will work for me. I like something kind of mid-grade that works for both situations, because especially now going into the sunnier part of the season, going a little darker is easier on the eyes for the longer days. So like switching from, I was on the pink iridium, I think, from Japan basically until last week. And
wow, yeah.
And then now I'm like, okay, it's getting really bright for long.
Yeah, you can go a little darker.
Yeah, because you gotta protect your eyes.
Yeah, man. The Emerald, I've been digging that Emerald one, and you can get even darker than that, of course. The lineup is massive.
Yeah. What's the blue one again?
Morrison, back behind the camera. You know your Oakleys well. You can't remember? Yeah, the blue one's nice too. It looks great. You can't see your eyes through that one.
Yeah.
But just like stance options, there's a lot of goggle options, a lot of lens options. So,
Yeah.
Conditions will always come into it. All right, well, moving on, I have some of our young team riders, one in particular, they always have a lot of questions to me. They're, these kids are 14, 15, 16. Where you grew up back home, you had your night riding zone like we have here. We have Selmo, one hill, little T-bar.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys after school, they bomb out to there. That's their little thing.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have to like that up and coming crew, all these hungry, 14-year-olds that look up to, they're asking old dogs like me, but they're looking up to you. What advice do you have for those guys that are trying to make their way through snowboarding to a point where it becomes their life? It's very rare, but it can happen.
Patience.
Yeah.
That's a huge one that I needed to learn. So I'm just speaking from experience. It's gonna happen, Sometimes your mind wants to rush and you want to get there faster than it's like happening, but as long as you're enjoying snowboarding, and that's why you do it, because you just love it.
That's important, man. That's the most important.
It sounds so simple, but if your passion's there and your interest is there and you really want to make it happen, then you just ride as much as you can. You're on anything you can, and it doesn't matter how. Like if you think your hill is crappy, you should take a look at where I came from, and just to compare. Which, if you can make anything happen on any little bump or transition, you find them, you seek them, you'll get them. And then riding trees, like your skills are going to improve every day, and having like making good connections, good friends in the mountains. So, you know, building your crew and like-minded human beings out there that you know, are that you can share your passion with.
That's right.
So like everybody drives this thing forward, and I think that helps a lot too. But if you really truly love it and you can ask yourself that question and the answer is yes, then it's going to happen. If you want a place in snowboarding, like that, it's going to be, there's room for everybody.
Yeah.
So you don't need to stress that, because it's,
no, that's awesome.
There's enough pieces of the pie for everybody.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh man, that's great advice. No, that's really great advice. Well, I mean, you surround yourself with such a rad crew. You put out so much good content. The YouTube channel, again, ever since you started that, man, all of us, Morrison behind the camera, we've been watching that from day one. It's rad, and it's authentic.
I know half of it too is just like, how weird can we get with music?
But that's rad. It's authentic, and it's all you, and that's what I dig, and that's what we're trying to do here too, right?
Yeah.
Like so hopefully the other side of this place is my recording studio and my jam space. So hopefully I get Tor and Cocard later, and we get some jamming in. And yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show. Big thanks to Cole. Big thanks to BALDFACE. Big thanks to Stoke the Fire. And we have a new sponsor now, NBC Beer, which is our local beer. Pretty stoked to bring those guys on board. And yeah, brother, again, we'll hit this next year. And yeah, it'll be a yearly thing, and we'll get an update on
I'd love to.
this beauty right now, because this is what I'm excited about.
Me too. I wanna bring this back, whatever the next evolution of this is. And
No, we'll get you back here. We'll get it on the table, and hopefully I won't have a broke-ass foot, and I'll be able to get out and do some lines with you on this beauty.
you gotta take care of that.
Yeah, I will. Thanks again, my man. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you.